Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This year, as part of our coverage for ATX Television Festival Season 8, I was lucky enough to chat with director and executive producer Kim Raver about the Lifetime movie Tempting Fate. We talk about her career on both sides of the camera, what she looks for in projects, and much more. It's a great interview, and I hope you enjoy.
This is Les from the TV Dudes, and so today I am lucky enough to be sitting here with Kim Raver.
Hello.
I just spoke to all the folks from Lifetime, and so for you, when you end up on something that's on Lifetime, what does that mean for you? What do you expect from that project?
My experience with Lifetime recently has been that I had a project, which is a Jane Green book called Tempting Fate. Mm-hmm. And I thought this is perfect for Lifetime because it's from the female perspective. And I think that that's so important right now, and especially coming from Shondaland, where there's so many women getting to do so many different jobs of directing and EPing and actors kind of translating and going from acting to directing. And I thought, oh, that's so interesting, and I don't have to just stay in the acting lane. Mm-hmm. And so I thought this was an amazing opportunity, and because Lifetime are so amazing at supporting women and their voices, I knew that it was the perfect home for this Jane Green book. So to go, I guess, in a roundabout way to your question, when I think of Lifetime, what do I expect would come from that? And what I feel is that they are incredibly supportive of women's stories, but not negating men's stories. I mean, what was so important for me was when I was directing and producing this was that we also made sure that that we made the male characters as round and as inclusive as our female lead story. And also, my husband and I directed it together, and so I feel like with both of our perspectives, we were able to really, even though it was a female-driven story, we made sure that it was also inclusive.
Being in front of the camera, do you remember what the first behind the camera job you noticed where you went, I think I'd enjoy having that decision be mine?
I think for me it was more about, I love telling stories, and I've been fortunate enough to be telling them from an actor's perspective for so long that I because I'm in Shondaland and because I see women doing it, I was like, I think I wanted to be able to kind of tilt the norm and the usual thing for me kind of on its side and try it. It's like an athlete who is, doing one sport, trying another sport. It's like, I think it wasn't necessarily like, oh, I want to direct, or oh, I just wanted to tell stories. And so when I found this book, through these other producers, I thought, oh, well, I want to make sure, I don't want to be acting in it because I'm doing that sort of my day job at Grey's Anatomy, which is amazing. I want to be able to try something different. But definitely being in Shondaland and seeing so many women there, it's that medical terminology that we use in Grey's when someone's learning. It says, see one, do one. And so I feel like seeing a lot of women do a lot of different jobs kind of opened that door for me to say, hey, I want to try that.
Was there something that was surprisingly satisfying once you actually got into the role? Was there any?
When I got into the role?
When you got behind it, when you started actually working on that side of the industry and being more behind the scenes, was there anything that you didn't realize was part of the job that ended up being enjoyable?
I think, every aspect of it, when you're acting in it, you are kind of one thread of the whole kind of tapestry. Mm-hmm. I loved I loved kind of being able to pull all of the threads, while it's like incredibly stressful, I love being able to kind of pull all of those threads together. And I really loved, I was fortunate enough that we had Alyssa Milano as our star in Tempting Fate, and she's such an extraordinary talent. And I think the most satisfying thing for me, it was almost like when you see someone kind of mouthing the words of, like, I don't know, or like a parent who's watching like their kid play a sport, kind of playing in the stands. Like for me, it was like I had in my mind like a kind of certain way, so I'd be watching the monitor, and my favorite thing was kind of going up to Alyssa and like whispering in her ear a feeling or a direction, and then going to the monitor and watching her kind of play it out was really fantastic.
And I could definitely understand the want of seeing something you'd like to see on screen and realizing if you want that to happen, you need to do it. I think there's really something powerful and connecting about that. I think everybody really understands. There's times where if you want the project to happen correctly, you have to do it.
Totally.
Was there anything in particular about Jane Green that you thought, I want to make sure that this doesn't change tone or this doesn't get messed up? Was there anything you were particularly precious about?
The sort of story point for me that was really important was that the lead character, that she fucks up and that she kind of like has to sleep in the bed that she's making, that it's not like, kind of this like glamour thing that, that like life is complicated and it's like multifaceted and we're not perfect. And I loved that the character was not perfect and it was like really kind of a coming of age. So that for me was super important, that, that it wasn't saccharine and that I was really adamant that we kept, it was a fine line of keeping like the reality of it, but also making sure that the character was accessible. And as an actor, I can't stand the word likable, because I feel like that kind of waters down the story that you're trying to tell. But I, as a director now and a producer, I see why that's important, because I wanted people to access, or I want them to be able to lean into the story. And Alyssa just did that, and she's just incredible, because the way she organically, you lean into what it is that she has to tell, but she has the gravitas of kind of the sort of the importance of the story.
Yeah, I think sometimes we think if characters fuck up, that they're unlikable.
Yeah.
As if we don't all fuck up. But
mostly men can do it, and women can't. There's like a really like double standard kind of thing, and I think especially through time of entertainment, like the anti-hero, and it's very seldom and very hard for female characters to fuck up and still be accessible and likable.
Yeah. That double standard is...
I know. It's hard to break through
and
but
it seems like Lifetime has been at the forefront of bucking against that. For years before the Me Too movement got that conversation into spheres that I was normally in. Do you feel like that's dovetailed somewhat so that there's more space to tell those kinds of stories, or to show women being human?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think we have a long way to go. I mean, but I definitely feel like, Lifetime has done that for a really long time before it kind of became trendy. But I definitely, when you look at, like Homeland, Claire Danes' character, and, there's a lot more women's roles for that, and it's definitely changing. But then again, that also really, I think we have to have more women behind the camera in order to kind of keep telling those stories. And when you look at the percentages, I mean, Lifetime, the female directors is at 78%, which is incredible. And if you look at the industry as a whole, female directors are at 17.
I was about to say, it can't be anywhere close to that.
No, so it's, I mean, if I think, look, again, like, I love the men in my life, I love the men directors, and I like, that's all fantastic. But I think if we are going to, sort of move the needle and be able to, and I don't think they have to be told the same way men's stories are told. right? Like, I don't think it has to be, it's like, we are going to tell stories differently, gender-based stories, because we are different genders, and I think that that's also okay. I don't think everything, I think that's what's interesting is the different perspectives, and also inclusivity. I mean, I did a panel this morning, and there's this great woman, and she's Latina, and she directed a horror film, and
Gigi Salguero.
She's unbelievable.
She's great.
But I would, it's like, how many Mexican women directors of horror film? I don't even know other women horror film directors. So it's like, that's so fantastic, because she's going to have a different perspective.
Yes. If I'm going to be truly surprised at the movies, there have to be people involved that don't have my story.
Exactly, because we want other people's stories. We want, I think we're all hungry for it, and I think for the longest time they haven't been there, and I think now the interesting thing is, it used to be like, oh, they don't make money, well, now we have like actually data and proof that actually
that's
they
not
are
true.
It's not true, and they are making money.
Yeah.
I definitely think there's a big change.
Yes.
I definitely think we have a long way to go.
Yeah, I just refuse to believe that half the population is just not a market somehow.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
It's just silly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you
I really
so much.
appreciate it.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Electric Sweater Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/tvdudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter @TV Dudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and electricsweater.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.